Dear students, good afternoon to all. Hope you are fine. Today's our offline class is about evolution of life forms, a theory. Based on the observation made during sea voyage by Charles Darwin in sail ship HMS Beagle around the world, he was appointed as a naturalist for his voyage to study the vast flora and fauna of the different continents and islands. He said that every living organism, whether animal or plant, has its own characteristics. Now what do we understand by characteristics? These are the details of appearance or behavior. For example, we have four limbs, and bearing four limbs is one of our characteristics. That is why we are called tetrapods. While moving from one place to another during his voyage, Darwin observed that even different looking and differently behaving organisms share some similarities among themselves. These similarities may either be in the body structure or in the behavior. He also observed that living organisms share similarities not only among themselves but also with those organisms which became extinct from Earth. Based on his observations, Darwin concluded that all the existing life forms share similarities to varying degrees and also may share common ancestors. More are the similarities, more closely they are related, and more recently they shared common ancestors. Hence, we can say that if two organisms share common ancestor in the recent history, it would be present in the same epoch, period, or era. And if they share common ancestor in distant history, it would be present in the different epoch, period, or era, depending upon how distantly they share it. Hence, we can conclude from it that the geological history of the earth closely correlates with the biological history of earth. There had been extinctions of different life forms in the years gone by, just as new forms of life arose at different periods of history of earth. There has been gradual evolution of life form. Now, the concept of natural selection. Darwin not only talked about the similarities but also about the differences or variations among the organisms. He said that every population has its own characteristic features that differ from the characteristics of other populations. Nature poses the same challenges to all living organisms in the form of harsh climate, food scarcity, natural disasters like flood, droughts, etc. The characteristics that enable some organisms to survive better than others in the same environment are said to be selected by nature. Some use the word fitness for this capability to survive better, but Darwin only referred to the reproductive fitness, which means those organisms who are better fit in their environment produce more number of offsprings than others, or we can say their reproduction rate is higher than the others. These, therefore, will survive more and hence are selected by nature. Darwin used the phrase natural selection for this and said that it is the natural selection which is responsible for the evolution. There was one more naturalist called Alfred Wallace, who worked in the Malay archipelago. Like Darwin, he also talked about the fitness of organisms. He also came to the similar conclusions that those organisms which can adapt better in their environment are selected by the nature. This was about today's offline class. Thanks.